All right, good evening, class. This is your DES103 instructor, Nikki, and we are doing a continuation from week 4 assignment. So I noticed that this video is not in all the classes, so I'll make sure today that you have these videos here embedded in all of your courses. This shows you probably let me put my computer on mute real quick. A 10-minute video that shows you how you can get some designs from a shield and to trace it. And then you can do your design from there. So you can definitely watch that video for your assignment. However, I'm going to show you a couple of other ways to make a shield by using the Pathfinder tool to create some shields as well. So you can have a lot of other tools under your arsenal as well, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is to go back to the examples that we pulled up from the earlier recording so you understand what you have to do for your assignment. So remember that the assignment requires 4 things: your last name of your family, a symbol, a shield, and a ribbon. So this person did their last name of McBride, and they're from Ireland, so they used the clover here, or the Lucky Charm, or the three-leaf clover, I'm sorry. The words Ireland from where they're from, and their shield, and they have the ribbon. The other example here is of an Army family, last name Croft. They use a shield with a couple of outlines on it, and they use some stars and a ribbon there as well, okay? So I'm going to show you how to start your shield, sort of create it using, a couple of methods here, okay? So the first thing I want to show you is how you can use the Pathfinder tool to create your shield. So let me go over into Illustrator and let me just make a shield first. I'm going to try to attempt to do my unicorn shield. So what I'm going to do, let's change my stroke to like a maybe a pink color. And I'm going to change this to white. And I'm going to first go in here and draw a circle, okay? So I like to keep things neat. I'm going to call this first layer my shield layer, okay? All right, I'm just going to show you a couple of ways to draw a shield other than the one that's in the video in your course, okay? So first I'm going to take this ellipse tool. I'm just going to draw it out really quick. I'm going to up my strokes a few points so you can see that it's a white circle with a pink stroke, okay? So once I actually go in and draw my circle, I can do a copy and paste of the circle and sort of get it to the top where I want my shield to be cut at. I can actually, make this a little smaller if I wanted to. And again, you can use the Pathfinder tool or the Shape Builder tool. I'm going to use the Pathfinder tool because I'm used to using that. And in the Pathfinder tool, I'm going to select these shapes here, and I'm going to choose the minus. And what this minus does, it creates this sort of shape here that I can then go in and sort of manipulate from here. So now I have the start of my shield here. I'm going to do a rectangle. Take it like all the way down here to where I want it to be. Maybe I want it to be right here. And it's still using the Pathfinder tool. I'll select both shapes and I'll use my minus again. So now you see I have like half of a shield here. And then if I want to use this shield, I'll do a copy and a paste, and then I'll Command C and Command V, or Control C and Control V, then do a transform and reflect and make sure that it's vertical. And so now you see I have the beginnings of a shield here. So that's one way you can sort of create a shield by just using the Pathfinder tool. If you didn't want to go through, I guess, and sort of like, you know, trace it. And there's some other things I can do as well. Like if I wanted to join these shapes, I definitely could. Let's see here. Using the Pathfinder tool to join them, so it sort of gets rid of that stroke that was in the middle. I can, you know, go back with my, you know, ellipse tool and make this look a little bit more fancier. If I choose to, let me see what I can do here. I want to give it a more, like a more pointy look, I guess, to my shield is what I'm trying to say here. And select this and do another minus if I wanted to do that. Just to sort of give it a unicorn look for my shield. These are just some options that you can do here as well. So that's another way you can like create a shield shape. I'm going to go back and look at it without it. I might go back and do it again. Let's see. Doing the minus. So that's another way to create, you know, a shield shape. You can add more strokes to it if you choose to add more strokes as well. You can do whatever you want to do with your shield. But that's just one way you can do the shield by using the Pathfinder tool for your shield. Now, there are some other ways you can actually create a shield as well. You can actually go through your tools and sort of like add points to your tools to create a shield shape as well. So let me show you that. I'm going to go in and hide this first one really quick. I'm going to keep it on this layer. But you can also do a shield by pretty much using your rectangle tool as well. So let me go here and I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to use that same stroke so you guys can see what I'm doing here, okay? So first things first, I want to create a rectangle, okay? Just going to draw it out here. And let me draw it again. I want it to be a little bit wider. All right. So now that I've drawn that, I'm going to turn my rulers on and try to find like the middle of this rectangle here. That looks like it could be the middle. Let me see. That looks like it's the middle. And let me just look at it really good just to make sure I'm doing the correct thing here. So now I'm going to go here and add anchors to my rectangle. I'm going to add them at the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to move these anchors around, okay? And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to add an anchor point here, and I'm going to add one here just in case. Now, you already sort of have anchor points here when you click on the square itself. You have two on the side, but you didn't have any like here in the middle. So now that I have this anchor point that I created, what it allows me to do, if I click on it using the direct selection tool, which is just the white arrow key, I can go in and sort of manipulate that point. So let me go here again. Actually, let me go in and hide my guide really quick so it's not think I'm trying to click on the guide, and make sure I added those points. And now I see them. And I'm going to click on this path, and I'm just going to stretch this up just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit, and if I want to extend it up, I can here too. I want to take these 2 points here by holding down my shift key, and I want to try to, I was trying to move both of them at the same time, but I'm going to do one at a time. And sort of create like a shape for my shield where I want it. Okay, so now you see I have this shape for my shield here. And once I get a shape that I'm comfortable with, you sort of go in and sort of manipulate the handles that's on the bottom of this point a little bit more. But first, let me play with it to get the shape that I actually want for it, okay? So I'm going to go back and redo this again. So I want to select both of them at the same time. That's the key here. Trying to move both. So let me just move this one up here. And I'm going to move this one up here as well. So now that I've moved both, I want to try to go in and change where the actual curve of the shape is. In just one moment. So now that I have this, I want to go into my pen tool and I want to play with the anchor point again. I want to convert my anchor point. And what I did, just so you can know, I went into the pen tool. You know how I add the anchor point? You have an option to delete it. There's a point called the anchor point tool. And you can sort of go in and use this tool if you click like on the path and sort of play like with the curve that's here. So I'm going to play with this curve and get it to curve down. And all I'm doing is just pulling this handle down, okay, to where I want it to be. I actually want to move it up just a bit. And then if I wanted to, you know, play with the other anchors here as well, I could. Another thing I could do here is to play with this path and sort of stretch it out a little bit more so I can have a shield shape. So this is another way that you can go in and create your shield. You can also go in and add different strokes to it. So you can have a different look with your strokes. Again, I already have a stroke that's here. So I'll go to my my selection tool and sort of make this bigger. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my window and I'm going to go to my stroke panel. Now, what this does, your stroke panel, it allows you to sort of go in and, you know, make another stroke if you need. There's also another panel that does this too. It's called Appearance, and I think this panel will be a lot better for you to see your actual stroke. That way, if you want to create another stroke here, I can. So let's just say I want to go here and add a new stroke. I can duplicate the selection here. And I can change this stroke to maybe 12. Let's change it to 13. And if I click on the stroke here, I can change where it is. So if I want it to be on the inside or on the outside, I can change how that stroke looks. I can also go in here and change the color. And what this allows me to do is to create a more 3D effect, if you will, for my shield itself. So if I wanted to make this stroke a little bit bigger on the inside and make this one a little bit bigger on the outside, I can definitely do that. And then if I want to add maybe one more stroke, so you guys can see how it looks on the outside, I can do that too. And let's change this stroke to purple. So you see how you can add dimension to the stroke itself and then go in and add a fill to this if I choose to, you know, any fill. It doesn't, you know, necessarily have to be, you know, anything, but you can create some type of dimension with your stroke. So just to make this look a little bit more realistic, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start out like with a dark color. So let me just change this fill to black. And then I'll change the stroke that's right here, that's on the inside. So let me change it. I'll move this so you can see it. I'm going to change this one to maybe a gray. And I'm going to make it a little bit thinner than the other ones, just a tad. And then what I'll do is to go in here and change the other one maybe to green, like a dark green. And then this, well, actually a light green. And then this one, a dark green. Maybe that will show you. So you see how you have the way you can sort of make a little bit more definition with your shield by adding strokes and changing how they look on the inside, the outside as well, okay? So I've showed you two ways that you can draw your shield. Again, you can draw the shield by using your path tool, you know, your pathfinder tool by making common shapes and cutting them and merging them together and uniting them. I've also shown you how to draw a shield just using your basic rectangle shape. So you can do either one. Again, you also have this third option here that shows you how you can use your pen tool and trace like you've been doing a picture of a shape of a shield here. So if you want to get an exact picture here, you can, but I want to come into this live session and just show you another option of how you can create it on your own without having to go in and trace it, okay? So I'm going to create another layer here. I'm going to call it ribbon. And I'm going to show you how you can make your ribbon as well. Again, the video here also shows you how you can trace ribbons here. But again, I'm going to go in and show you how you can draw your own as well, okay? So I'm going to get rid of this stroke here, and I'm going to change my fill to maybe a blue color, okay? Now, when I make this blue color, what I'm going to do from here is, you know, create what I call a basic rectangle shape, okay? And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to make a basic rectangle shape first, and it could be any length, you know. So I'm going to make this basic rectangle blue shape, okay? Now, once I make this, and make sure I'm in the ribbon layer I am. Once I make this basic rectangle shape, I'm going to sort of focus on creating the ends of the ribbon of my ribbon here. And let me show you what I mean by that. So first things first, I'm going to just create a smaller rectangle. I'm going to maybe do like half of this. And then I'm going to take the anchor tool here, and I'm going to zoom in. I want to actually get this to like go down here. So what I'm going to have to do is add an anchor point. I'm going to add an anchor point right dab in the middle of my rectangle here. Then I'm going to go back into my pen tool, right click on it, and click on the anchor point tool. And I'm going to actually, I'm not going to do that. Let me just grab it using my selection tool. I want to just drag it. So instead of using this pen tool here for the anchor point, just use your direct selection tool and just drag it, okay? And then now that I have this, I want to sort of create the other one as well, okay? Now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller before I create the other one. Just going to shrink it just a tad. And then I'm going to go back into my direct selection tool and then bring this back down some more. So now that I've created this, I'm going to Command C or Control C to copy, Command V or Control V to paste, right click on this new shape, transform, and I'm going to do a reflection and make it vertical, okay? So now what I have here are my two ends, so to speak, to my ribbon. Now I want to go into my ribbon layer and I want to make sure that these two are underneath the rectangle, okay? And I want to place it sort of like down towards the side of the rectangle. I don't want it to be like right on it. I'm actually going to shrink this just a tad so it can fit on the screen for us, okay? So I'm going to shrink it just a little bit, not too much. And want to put this in the middle, bring it up just a tad. And then what I'm going to do here, and I want to shrink this too as well. Let's bring it down a little bit. I think that looks better. So I'm going to delete this one, edit, copy, paste in place. And then I'm going to transform and reflect in vertical. All right, and then I'm just going to move this one where it should be. Okay, I'm going to put it under the rectangle again. So let me make sure it's right here and move it over just a bit. And that looks about right, okay? So again, if I wanted to get a dab in the middle, I use my Smart Guides, which you can turn on by going to View and Smart Guides. That's the pink lines that sort of help me make sure my shapes are in line, okay? So once I create like the ends of this shape, what I'm going to do is to get my pen tool. And with the pen tool, all I'm going to do is to draw a triangle sort of in between these shapes, okay? Before I do that, I think it'll be easier if I made these ribbons just a darker color than the main ribbon itself. So I'm just going to go to my fill and I'm just going to tab down just a little bit. So it's a little darker, maybe too much. Let me go up just a tad. Let's see if that's it. All right, so that's fine. And what I'm going to do with my pen tool is I'm just going to simply draw a triangle, okay? Before I draw this triangle, I'm going to go in and make it just a tad darker, okay? So all I'm doing when I draw the triangle is just to sort of make the triangle shape with the pen tool. And you're going to want to start at a corner, so that way, you know, you can sort of remember where to close it out at. So I'm going to start it at this end corner here, and go here, and then sort of close it there, okay? So wherever you see the triangle being formed, so I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to close it off. Okay, so you see where the little small triangle is here? I'm just going to close off that shape. Same thing here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to close it off here. Okay, so now we have these two triangles that sort of give your ribbon a little definition, you know? And what you can do after that is up to you. I'm going to actually go in maybe, and before I merge these shapes together, I'm going to go into my gradient tool here, and I'm going to choose maybe a gradient for my shape. Let me see what I want to do first. So we'll do this, and I'll do this blue here, and then I'll do this dark blue here. And let me see if I can remove that. And let me see if I can change this color just a tad. Let me see. So there we go. So just add a little, you know, different feel to it, you know, just to add a little gradient. You can play with how you want the gradient to be. And then once you're done, use your selection tool, select everything, and I would go to, that's the layers panel, let me put it back over here. My Pathfinder tool and click Unite if you choose to do that. Now remember, when you unite it, it does make it all one color. So if you don't want to do that, that's definitely fine. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to make a copy of this and paste it down at the bottom. And while all of these shapes are sort of selected, I'm going to go into Effect and I'm going to try to go into the sort. Let me see, and make it to where I have like this flag looking sort of shape. Actually, it's in warp. So if you go to warp, you have these options. Let's try flag. And you can go in and sort of play with how you want your flag to look, okay? It's horizontal, vertical. You can sort of play with it from here. It's actually not showing here. I'm sorry, I didn't click preview, yikes. So let's cancel it again. And let me go back to effect, go back to warp, and let me go to flag. Click on preview. Yeah, let me go back to making everything 0. There we go. So you can sort of change how it's horizontal or vertical here, and you can change how it looks here as well for your shapes, okay? So you want to be more vertical, you can do that here too. If you wanted to, change here, you can definitely do that. You can change if it's a vertical, if it's horizontal, but this just changes the bend to your shape. So just an FYI, you can definitely do that as well. It's just really up to you how you want to do, your ribbon. So now that I've given you, some options to create things, let's go ahead and start making our shield here. Let me see. Let me do an object and group it. And make sure it grouped it. And it did group it. I want to see something really quick before I go back into my warp. You group the object. Okay, so to get a more smoother flag, you want to go to object and group with your actual ribbon. Okay, I wouldn't do the Pathfinder and merge it because it merges it all or unites it all into one object, but just group them together so they move all at the same time, and that gives you a more smoother look when it comes to your ribbon. Okay, so I'm giving you, like I said, 2 choices with your ribbon. I'm going to go back and start creating my unicorn shield. So first things first, let me see what I want to do here. I'm going to group these 2 right here, object and group. And I'm going to go back to my layers. And I'm going to hide my ribbons layers just for a moment. I think I'm going to work with this, not this shield, but the first shield that I created here, because I think it sort of resembles more of a unicorn head. So I'm going to stretch it out just a tad bit because I like for my shield to fill up a lot of space, especially since I also have the ribbon that I want to, place on this as well. So now I have this shape and it already has a stroke. Remember, I can go to Window and Appearance. I sort of pull up that panel here. And if I want to add another stroke to it, I definitely can. It's just up to me how I want to do this. So I'm going to go in and sort of make my stroke here. I'm going to go here to this panel instead and see, can I change it to something else? Let's do a darker pink and see how it looks. I'm actually not sold on that, so I'm going to change it to more of a cream color here. And let's see, it didn't catch on. So let me see something here. All right, there we go. So now that I have it selected, let me see if it's going to change the color. There we go. So if I want to do something like that, I could. I think what I'm going to end up doing is keeping this pink, and I'm going to change this to a more turquoise. So we'll do that. I think that gives my unicorn shield more of a better look here. I might go in and change the fill to like more of a cream color if I choose to. I think that might be a better option than what I was doing before. So let's try that. And make sure the shield part is selected, the fill part is selected, and I'm going to go back and add that color again. It was in the, see what we got going on here. Okay, so I'm working with something here. And if I want to add a little bit more definition, remember I can always, you have to click on it though. I can always go in here and, you know, make my lines just a tad bit more bigger for my shield, okay? So I'm going to keep this shape because again, I'm going to create a unicorn shield. Now what I'm going to do is try to think of some components that I want to add. So I'm going to, let's think about a unicorn horn. And it's sort of shaped almost like an ellipse. So I'm going to try to see if I can get something that's going to sort of, I guess, resemble what I'm trying to do with that. So I think the ellipse tool is the best option because the ellipse tool is going to give me more of a rounder shape, and then I can go in and add things to it as I see fit. So let's see. Let's try that. I'm going to go into my layers panel. So I have my shield, I have my ribbon. I'm just going to make another layer here called unicorn horn. And with this unicorn horn, like I said, I want something very simple. I'm not trying to do anything like too crazy. I'm going to take the ellipse tool and I'm going to create this horn. So the horn is going to be very thin, and then I'll make some ears to go with it as well. So I'm going to first take off my stroke, okay? Actually, I take that back. I'm going to take off my fill for a moment, and I'm going to make my stroke black, just so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to go to my shape tool, choose the ellipse tool, and I'm going to make like a really thin or oval looking ellipse here, okay? Now with the direct selection tool, again, with this tool, you can sort of select 2 points at once and sort of, you know, create how you want it to look. So I'm going to go here and try this again. Earlier, I couldn't get it to work with the shield, but I should be able to get it to work here. So I should have both points selected, and I'm just going to press the down arrow key. So let me go into my layers really quick and hide the shield so you can see what I'm doing. I'm holding down the shift key. Hopefully I have both selected, and I do. So once both are selected, now I can press the down arrow key, and you see both points are being moved at the same time. I sort of want to get that curve there. So now I have my unicorn horn. And you can think about things you can add to your unicorn horn. If I wanted to add maybe like the shape of, you know, the little lines to sort of go in it for detail, I can definitely do that. If I wanted to create, you know, some clouds, I can definitely do that as well. Anything to sort of make this stand out a little bit more. So I want to unhide my unicorn shield. I'm going to go to my unicorn horn and go to selection tool first to sort of shrink this down. And I'm going to put it on top of the shield, okay? Like right in the middle. And then I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more. And I'm actually going to move this layer below the shield so you can sort of see it here. And then what I'll probably end up doing, just to give it a little bit more definition, is to add some lines to it from there. So to add lines to my unicorn shield, I'm just going to use probably the pencil tool. See if I can find it. It's under the shaper tool. All right, so I'm just going to use the pencil tool, and I'm just going to sort of free draw some lines here, okay? Nothing too crazy. All right. So I have some lines here for my unicorn horn, and I can go back in and sort of manipulate those later, like go in and make the point, you know, go all the way over here if I needed to, just so it closes with this, the horn shape that I currently have. And there's like no, you know, overlapping looking or, you know, spaces that are missing. So I can go back in and edit that. So I'll keep this horn as it is right now. The next thing I want to do is to create my ears, and it's going to be similar to what we did when we traced the ears, if you guys remember, for the cat or the bear. So now I'm going to make another layer and call it ears. All right, and just draw a regular circle. And my direct selection tool, select this anchor and this anchor, and just press down the down arrow key. Let me see if they're both moving. And now I have like this ear, okay? So I have these ears. I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm gonna change how it looks here. Uh-oh. And let me see if I want to shrink it. Actually, I'm going to change the rotation just a tad here. So make it a little bit bigger here. So copy and paste. Actually, let me do a copy and paste in place. So edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And then for the one that's paste in place, I'm going to transform and reflect it vertically. And then I'm going to just move it over here. Okay. So it's behind here. And then what I can do here is copy and paste this one, shrink it down to size just a little bit. Where did it go? Sorry about that. I think it's this one. Or is it this one? Shrink it down to size just a tad and move it up to the ear here. So I can sort of have like a feel for my unicorn ear, you know. So copy, paste, and I'm going to move this one over here as well. Where are you, buddy? I think it's right here. I should have did a paste in place and reflect. But this will do for now. So now I can go back and sort of color in, you know, what I want my horn to look like. For example, if I wanted this to be, for both of these to be no stroke and a fill of a pink color, I can do that by changing my stroke to none and my fill to like a pink, okay? So I can have a pink here, you know, for here, and then change this, the ears to more of a cream color, I guess. Let me see how I can do this. So change that to that. I'll brighten it up just a little bit so it doesn't look like mouse ears. There we go. So we have that. And I can probably go back in, to be honest with you, and change the color of this shield to that. But remember, when you use the eyedropper tool, the only thing you have to be mindful of is it takes the entire form of whatever that is. So I'm just going to go in and just change this wheel to that color, so everything can sort of match. All right, so I have that going on. And what I'll do is maybe add my ribbon here just a little bit. Let's see. I want to unhide my ribbon layers, and I'm going to use the wavy looking one, okay? So I'm going to use her, and I'm probably going to go back in and change the color of it just a tad. And then sort of add some more things to it and then be done with it. So one thing I can do when you're trying to like change the color of something in the group, you can double click on it. I'm going to go back to my gradient here, and I'm going to change this to like a pink gradient. Let me see. And I'm going to go here. And change it. All right, so I got that done. Now I'm going to go back to the group and change this, both of the colors of this one and this one. I'm going to change that color to more of a pink. Let me see. I don't like that color. Let me see if I can grab this. All right, so I have that, and then I'm going to try to grab these triangles at the bottom. Let me see if I can go back to the ribbon. Trying to grab the triangles. But you know what? I actually like the blue here, to be honest with you. So I'm going to keep it here because it goes with some of the blue that's in my shoe. So I have my ribbon that I created earlier, and I can, you know, type in my text, which I'm going to put my last name here. I'm going to put my last name in the color of the ears, okay? So let me do that. Let me just type it out first. Okay, I'm going to center it, make it as big as I can. All right. I'll move you right here, buddy. Okay. So now I want to find a font that sort of goes with this. I'm going to go to my filters, and I'm going to go to script first, and then I might go to handwritten. Okay. So I like this font for it. Now you can, let me see, can you do a warp effect on this? Let me see. So my recommendation is do your warp effect on your font first, and then sort of create your, if you decide to do it, you don't necessarily have to do it. And then sort of create your outlines of your text from there. So let me cancel this really quick. Let me, just so I can. And you can just put your last name. I'm just trying to do something that's going to fit in this little curve here. So with this pretty font I found. Go with your family, effect, warped. And you can do different things. You don't necessarily have to do like the curve. You can do an arch, and that's the same thing too for your ribbon. So I'll do that. Put it up here. I'm gonna turn it just a tad. Thing is, when you turn it, it doesn't necessarily turn the correct way. So I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to bring it down some more. Why is it not going down? There we go. Keep this here. Move it up. And make it straight. Actually, you know what? Let me change the effect on here. Apply. So if you want to, what this panel was telling me is that if I want to change the appearance of this, you can go into the appearance panel and click on warp flat, so you're not applying like another instance of it, you know what I mean? So I'd rather do that than try to apply another one. And now let me go back into my text and add it. Oh, it added it to my ear. That's not what I wanted you to do. Okay, so let me add another layer. Closure. All right. I like that. And let me make it white. Okay. And let me change the size just a little bit here. Move it up. There we go. So I can do that as well. Now remember, whatever you decide on for your text, make sure you go back into your font and do type and create outlines, because I won't be able to see all of your text here once you do when you select it, because I won't have all the fonts that's on everyone's computer. So once you do that, you could do create outlines, and then you'll be able to move your fonts just a little bit better as well too. Another thing that you can, I'm trying to think of some other things I can add to my shield. I added the shield, I added the ribbon, I added my last name, and I added the symbols. So again, I'm sort of created like this unicorn look for my shield. One thing I can go back and do now that I see where I am with the shield, if I go to window and appearance, maybe hide a stroke just to see how that looks, and change like the size of this one as well. Just change some things around with it a little bit. If I wanted to make this black, I could, if it, makes it look a little bit better. I never like using a true black, so I'm going to change it to a gray and go down a little bit. So just to show you some other things you can do with your shield as well. Like you can always make modifications to it once you're done with it and you figure out exactly, what you want to do. Some other things I probably would add to the shield are maybe like the eyes for the unicorn itself. If you want to create like just a basic curve for the eye and just add like, the strokes to it, you definitely can. I would probably go back to my pencil tool and create just a basic curve if I decide to do that. Another thing I could do too, just to show you an option, you have the shaper tool, and the shaper tool sort of guesses what you're trying to do as well. But if you're not doing like a complete shape, sometimes it doesn't register. So I have this pencil tool that I'm using here, and let me make sure it's on the right layer. Let me do this on another layer. Let me do, was showing it the ears, that's why. So let me do eyes. Okay. So I can do the eyes here. I can change the stroke of it. You know, go in and sort of change how these points look because they look a little iffy. You know, change the length of it. Just a FYI. And if you feel comfortable better using like the pencil tool to create a basic curve for this, you can. I just was trying to go for a more, I don't want to say kitty look or just basic look, but I was going for that. So just a FYI, if this is the type of look you're trying to create, you can use the pen tool as well. Another thing that I could have done too, now that I think about it, is I could have also used my circle tool. And let me show you what I mean by that to create a perfect circle. So remember, let me do that. Remember earlier, I created this particular shield by combining shapes. So let me just show you what I mean. So if I wanted to create like this perfect arch here, and I create another circle that sort of goes like right here on it, and then I go to my Pathfinder tool and select both and do a minus. I sort of already have that, you know, shape, you know, sort of going on here. And then if I want to go in, you can also like delete the anchor points that are here too. If you decide to do that, you can delete them. What I would probably do is bring my anchor points like all the way down here and sort of match them up a little bit better so they can sort of flow a little bit more evenly into the line too. So that's another option as well. Let me see if I can get this one to bend a little better. Bring you down a little bit, buddy. So it creates a more, like I said, smoother shape for you. So that's another option you have too with using your shapes. Let's see here. What handle needs to be moved down? Shapes curve. So either way, you know, you decide to go, you can sort of go from there. So just giving you some options here. Another option I'm going to try actually like this. So I'm going to keep this. I was going to say use the curvature tool as well. If you use the curvature tool, it'll probably give you a better curve. So just giving you some options here. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Copy, paste. Transform and reflect. Vertical because you want it to look like the other eye as well. So I have my eyes here. Then I can use my pencil tool and hold down the Option key and create my lashes, you know. Alt key if you're on the PC. Not close enough. So if I wanted to have, you know, unicorn with a lot of lashes, then, you know, here you go. So it's just up to you how you decide to draw your shield. I just wanted to give you some options here. I'm going to take these same strokes that I just drew. Hopefully they're still on my eye layer. Highlight all of them. I'm also going to do a copy, paste in place. I'm going to move them to this eye. And then I'm going to right click, transform, reflect, and move it. Move it up a little bit. So now I have the eyes for my unicorn here too as well, okay? So just some options for you. If I wanted to make my ears a little bit longer, I probably would do that as well. Color in my horn a little bit. Another thing I can also do is to create clouds. I was going to try to do a rainbow. I just don't think I have enough time to actually create one. But if I were to create a rainbow, I would probably do, maybe the same sort of thing here with my ellipse tool. If I want to create another ellipse to sort of, cut that, you can do that as well. On my Pathfinder here, select both of these shapes and minus it. And then sort of go in and sort of manipulate it and add more lines to it. It's just up to you. Or you can go in and make a semicircle with your shape and then play with the colors from there. What do I mean by semicircle? Remember in your transform tool, you do have an option to, depending on what the shape is, to add more, to do more things with it. You see how with this particular shape, I can change the slice of the pie, sort of do it like that as well. So you see now I have a 180 shape. Let's see. It's just up to me how I decide to do it. So I'm going to stick with this 180 shape because it's half of it. And then, sort of flip it. So if I wanted to do a transform on this shape, I can reflect it horizontally and add more shapes to it to create sort of like my rainbow. I don't have time to do that today, unfortunately. And I'm going to sort of pull this out into another layer. So, rainbow. Pull you out here. But I can draw different lines in this rainbow, to sort of, create the look I was going for, just so you can sort of see where I was going with that. Another thing I could add as well, if I wanted to do that too, is, some clouds, if I decide to do that as well. Adding clouds, I talked to you about that in week 1. Where I went in and just sort of combined my shapes with my clouds. So let me sort of show you what I'm talking about here. I want to give it just a feel for right now. We'll make it blue. Put this down. Let's make it blue for right now. Put this point down. Push it down. Now I'm in the direct selection tool now, just moving some things. That's all. Okay. So we're just going to pretend that this is part of our rainbow. It's really not what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have enough time to go over it, but you sort of get the idea here. If I were to do a rainbow, where I would, probably begin on this, okay? So if I were to do that, let me move this down a little bit more. And I'm gonna take the stroke down just a tad here. I can add, like I said, clouds to it too. So let me go to my shapes here and just start adding circles. I'm going to change the fill to white here. And I'm going to go to my layers panel before I begin. I like to keep things in layers so I know where things are. So I'll make another one called clouds. I might want to go over the ribbon. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of ellipses. And then I'm going to take all of my clouds and go to my Pathfinder tool, and I am going to unite it so I can create one big cloud, okay? And then I can put this cloud over here somewhere if I choose to. I'm going to copy it and paste it in place. I am going to transform it and reflect it vertically and put it to the other side of my screen here. And once I do that, then I can sort of better, I guess, gauge where I want this to go. So you see I have the clouds here. If I want to change the stroke to 1 for my clouds, I can do that as well. So this is just me creating some type of unique shield for you guys so you can see where, I would, me personally go with this shield. And I would probably, go back in and add some things to it. I can go in, let's see, add some flowers to it. If I wanted to add flowers to my shield, I can use the polygon tool, and that'll be the last thing I do here to sort of cover this part up. So let me go here. And let me think about how I want to draw the flower. I can use different tools here. I can use the polygon tool. You can use the ellipse tool, whatever sort of floats your boat here. I think I'm going to try to draw some daisies. And with doing that, let me see. Let me try to just do the circles first. So where's my flower? Make sure that it's over the layer it's supposed to be in. And I'm just going to draw some petals and then sort of, play with them a little bit so they can have like a point to them. And then just put them, behind the, I guess put them behind there. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to draw this first. So just draw the circle. And let me sort of hide everything here for a minute. Flowers. So this is the layer first. And then I'm going to create an ellipse, long ellipse tool. And then I'm going to use the direct selection tool and select both anchors. And then I'm going to see if I can create like a petal. And then I'm going to take these. I want to take the handle a little bit. Actually, let me go to this anchor point tool and just sort of make it, just click here and sort of make it sharp. So I've created this petal and I created this circle, and I'm going to sort of create this here, put it behind it, Let's do. So just going to paste it in place and then sort of turn it to where I want it to be. See, I have that flower here. Let's see. I want everything to be under the ellipse. And I'll go back and add some more petals in just a minute. I'm just trying to get like a basic shape down. Oh, they moved the circle. That's not good. So I have this flower petal here, and I can probably go back and sort of manipulate some of these petals a little bit more. Move you over here for a minute so I can get a better looking flower. So that's one way to create a flower, just a FYI, if you're looking for something for your shield as far as a flower goes, you can do that as well. And just sort of go back and play with like the petals to get them where you want them to be. I'm going to hide this flower for now, and I'm going to go back into my layer and make another flower layer. I might want to go with something more simple. So first I'm going to use my polygon tool, and I'm just going to draw it out a little bit, move it to this part of the screen, go to my transform tool for it, and sort of change the corners just a little bit, and then shrink it. When I shrink it, I'm going to hold down the shift key so it's shrinking appropriately. Let me see something here. And trying to see if I want these edges more curved, how I want them. And then I'm just going to go back into here and add my ellipse tool, just sort of put it in the middle here. With my flower. Yikes, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me go back here to my direct selection tool. Just trying to see which one would be an easier flower. And I really don't like that either. So let me see this here. That turns it into more of a circle. That's not what I want. Just playing around to see what I can do with the flowers. So I'm going to go back to the original one here. I'm going to play with the petals just a little bit more. I might, for the sake of this live, leave it at this. I would play with this just a little bit more, but I'm going to take it all and shrink it a little bit and change the color of this to, I think, let me go back and look at everything now that I have it here. Maybe purple. So I'll go here to my flower and I'll select all of this here. Everything except for my ellipse. I'm going to change the fill to purple, like a purplish color, right? And then I want to change the ellipse tool, what's in the middle, to like a yellow. Okay, see how that's looking? So now I have this flower. And again, I can, do a lot of things with it. But my goal here was to create like some flowers to sort of outline my shield. So copy, paste, sort of. And for some really quick flowers, they turned out okay. So I'm not complaining too much about it. So I'll probably go back and change that a little bit more. And then I'll go here to this tool And I would change the horn color to more of a gold, and then leave the lines as it is. So that's the end of my shield. This is actually the quickest I've done my sort of unicorn shield here, but you see I have all the components, and I've shown you here on this live session 2 ways to draw your shield, how you can draw your ribbon, and how you can use shape tools, Pathfinder tools, a bunch of tools that we've already used here over the weeks to create your shield, okay? And just to recap, I know I went over in the first live, but I want to recap on this again. When you create your file, you're going to go to File, New, and do 8 inches by 8 inches, 1 artboard. This is what I have here, okay? And again, I'm checking to make sure that you change your text into outlines. Remember, go to Type and create outlines for your text. I'm checking to make sure you have a shield, a ribbon, your last name, at least 1 symbol. Again, in the examples here, they did something very simple, but because of the length of this live, I wanted to show you my unicorn shield because I thought it went over pretty much everything that we used in class as far as the shape tool, the pen tool, the pencil tool, et cetera, et cetera. So I would just submit this as it is. I'll go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this unicorn this time. I never save my unicorn. I'm going to save it as DES103 and Joe Rozier, or Nikki Rozier this time. I'm going to replace the one I did back in July. Remember to uncheck this. I don't want a PDF. I want the actual Adobe Illustrator file. And then you'll submit that to me, okay? So I hope this live session is a little fun. It's a little different from the shield that you may have been used to seeing, and I just wanted to do something creative to show you that you can think outside of the box too when you create your shield. All right, have a great day.